Resourceful Designer, episode 216, offering web maintenance for extra income.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host. His wife says he snores, but he won't believe it until he hears it. Mark Descout.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. In today's episode, I'm going to share one of the easiest ways you can earn extra income for your design business. And I'm going to share a resource of the week that may help you if you want to dive into today's topic. Now, what have I been up to? Well, I've been doing a lot of proposals this week, a lot more than normal. I sent out a quote for a new brand design for a company. They want a refresh to their look, so see how that goes. I also sent a quote out for a website. This would be a fairly good-sized website for a new client, somebody I've never worked with before. And I also had an inquiry from a Canadian government agency who reached out to me asking if I can do a project for them. And we're in talks right now. Nothing in any of these has been signed or anything. They're all in the proposal stages, but I'll keep my fingers crossed and see what happens. The other thing that happened this week is I'm getting my first laptop. Well, technically that's not true. I do have 2 laptops in my basement, if you want to call them those. I have one of the original Apple PowerBooks that I bought from somebody for $15. I saw it on a shelf they had, and I said, here, I'll give you $15 for that, just to say that I have one of the original Apple laptops. And I also have one of those black ones from Apple. I think they called it the PowerBook. It's the same laptop that, what's her name, Carrie from Sex and the City uses for her writing. And the only reason I know that is my wife was a huge Sex and the City fan and will watch it all the time. And inadvertently, just by me being in the room or going by, I've probably seen half the episodes there are. But anyway, so I had those 2 laptops. They're both actually still in my basement. But my daughter this week had to update. She'll be going back to college this fall. And the new program she's enrolled in requires something a little bit different as far as computing goes. So she bought herself a new laptop and I bought her old MacBook Air. So it's not necessarily a brand new laptop, but it'll be new to me. So I haven't decided 100% what I'm going to do with this new laptop yet, but I have some ideas. One is I'm finally going to be able to update my iMac. I'm still running macOS Mojave, and the reason I haven't updated it is I still have a couple of applications that are 32-bit, and I know that as soon as I update, I won't be able to use them anymore. So what I'm going to do is transfer those applications to the laptop, and then I'll finally be able to update my iMac. And if I need to use those applications, I'll be able to do them on the MacBook Air. So that's one thing. But other than that, I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for. But it'll be fun to have something portable. So that's a little bit of what my week's been like. Now, in the Resourceful Designer community, we're actually in the process. I've been telling you about our Monday morning kickoff meetings. Well, some people have expressed that Monday mornings are actually a bad time, so we're actually looking at doing something other in the week, but we're going to keep the weekly get-together going. I'm really enjoying that, so move it around. We're still in the process of finding out what day is best, but we're going to keep going with the weekly video, call it check-in, just to see how everyone is doing. Now, other than that, there's been a lot of critiques going on in the group. People sharing stuff for us to look at and give advice. Those are always fun. And it's great when you know the people and you trust their opinion. That's what's great about this Resourceful Designer community, is when the people are sharing stuff, they know the other designers have their best interest at heart. Now, within the community, I don't often talk about it, but there's 2 parts to the Resourceful Designer community. There's the regular community, and then there's the mastermind level. And the mastermind level is a select few that are paying extra to be in this smaller group. And we have special meetings and we have a special Slack channel. Well, within that channel, we've been doing a lot of talking about project management and different systems that each of us use in order to keep track of the various projects. Because when you have 10, 20, 30 projects on the go, it's very easy to lose track of things. And we're all working on our own different systems. So we were sharing some insights and some ideas about the best ways to handle a lot of projects when you have them on the go. So that's just a little bit of what's been happening within the Resourceful Designer community. I would love for you to be a part of the community as well. And if this sounds like something you're interested in, head on over to resourcefuldesigner.com/community where you can join. Now, this week's resource of the week. And I know I shared this not too long ago, but this week's resource is SiteGround, a web hosting provider. Now, SiteGround has over 2 million websites hosted on it, so they must be doing something right. And whether you're looking for managed WordPress hosting, which is what I use, or you need hosting for some high-performance e-commerce store, or you're looking for the best in cloud hosting for those real top-end sites, SiteGround has you covered. Now, what I love about their system is it's so easy that even somebody that's a beginner who is just getting into this will be able to figure it out, but it's also robust enough for those of us who are quote-unquote advanced users to be able to really dive in and get things done. And what I love about SiteGround is that they have support. Their customer support and technical support is available 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. And you can reach them by phone, by chat, or just submit a support ticket. And they are really quick at responding and really great at helping you out. So you know you'll never be left in a bind. Now, I've been using SiteGround for the past 2 years now for both my own websites. I've got several websites that I have on there, as well as all new client sites. For the past 2 years, every site I've done from clients has gone onto a SiteGround server. And let me tell you, I couldn't be happier with the services I'm getting from them. So if you're looking for a new web host or you're looking to change your current web host, I highly suggest SiteGround. And I do have an affiliate with them, which means I will earn a small commission if you use this link when you do sign up. It doesn't cost you a cent more, but I make a little bit of commission off of it if you go to resourcefuldesigner.com/SiteGround. And now, offering web maintenance for extra income. One of the best things a business owner can do is find ways to make money with very little effort. I mean, that's the whole point of a business, isn't it? To make money. And a design business is no different. Take print brokering, for example. I talked about print brokering back in episode 49 of the podcast. How you can arrange and coordinate the printing jobs for your clients, and in the process, collect a fee as an income. Imagine earning 10% of a $10,000 print job for, doing less than an hour's worth of work. That's pretty sweet. But that's not the only way designers can earn extra income. In fact, way back at the beginning of the podcast, in episode 9, I covered 12 ways that designers can earn extra income. And if you haven't heard that one, or if you don't remember it, and I'll forgive you that, it was almost 5 years ago. If you don't remember it, go back and have a listen. And who knows, maybe some of those ways you'd like to put into action. But one of those 12 ways that I talked about in that episode was website hosting. For example, you can purchase a shared hosting plan from some web host, say for $20 a month. And this plan will allow you to host multiple websites on it. And then you turn around and you, quote unquote, resell the hosting to your clients for, why not, $20 per month? So what ends up happening is the very first client you put on it pays for your hosting fees, and every other client you put on that plan afterwards is just profit. It's money that goes into your pocket. Now, since I did record that episode, which was back in 2015, I have made a few changes to the way I operate. I no longer offer website hosting on its own. Instead, I now offer website maintenance. And let me tell you, I make a lot more money doing so. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me share with you first a typical life cycle of a web design project. A client approaches you to design and build their new website. You discuss things with them, agree on a price, get the contract signed. You are using contracts after all, aren't you? And you receive your deposit. You are asking for a deposit up front, aren't you? Then once the contracts are signed, the deposit's received, you get to work. A short time later, maybe a few days, few weeks, few months, depending on the site, you present the client with their brand new website. They're thrilled with what you did for them. So they pay you the balance owing and you launch their site. The client is happy with their new site. You're happy with the money you earned. End of story. That client is now behind you until the next time they may need something from you. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you are not offering website maintenance as part of your services, you are leaving easy money on the table. I say easy money because that's what it is. A reoccurring monthly income that requires very little of your time. Wouldn't you like an extra few $100s or possibly even a few $1,000s every month for barely doing any work at all? That's what offering web maintenance can do for you. Plus, it also keeps you front of mind for the clients. How often does a client need a new website? If you're very lucky, it may be once every 3 to 4 years. Most clients, it's longer than that. But who's to say that the next time the client needs a website, they're going to hire you again? A lot can change in several years. They may meet new people, learn about other options, and all sorts of things. Well, a web maintenance plan means the client is no longer considered a past client, but a current recurring client paying you on a monthly basis. And therefore, the next time that they do need a new website, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, there's a much higher probability that they'll choose you again because they have an ongoing relationship with you. They've been paying you every month for the past so many years. So when it comes time to do anything new web-wise, you'll be the first person they think of, all because of your web maintenance plan. Now, you may be thinking, but Mark, I'm not that tech savvy and I don't know the first thing about web maintenance. Well, that's the best part. If you do it right, you don't need to know that much. I know I didn't when I started either. And to be honest, there's still a lot that I don't know. But that's okay because I don't have to know. Let me break down what a general website maintenance plan looks like. I'll actually use my own as an example. Now, years ago, when I did that other episode and talked about it in the 12 ways to earn extra income, I mentioned that I was charging $12 a month. Well, that was in 2015, and that's when I was only charging for hosting. Now, at that time, a lot of my websites were just HTML sites that I was coding myself, and all that was required was a place for the website to sit. There was really no worries. Then, whenever I eventually switched over to WordPress, I did raise my price to $35 a month because there was a little bit more involved. Now, I wasn't offering maintenance at the time, but just because there was extra, I charged extra for hosting, and my clients were okay with that. But then, after I attended WordCamp Ottawa, and I met someone who he was presenting, and his business practically mirrored exactly what I was doing as my business. So we got to talk afterwards, and he told me that he was charging $69 a month for website maintenance. And after that conversation, I decided to take his lead, and I did the same thing. I raised my price to $69. Now, I know some designers will find that price expensive, but it's not really. I know designers who charge much more than that for their website maintenance plans. Look at it this way. If you're building a $500 or an $800 website for a client, then yes, the client will find $69 a month very expensive. However, if your client is paying $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for a website, they won't hesitate to pay that price in order to keep their investment safe. So in my website maintenance plan, this is what the package consists of. I offer managed WordPress hosting. I'll share more on that in a little bit. The monthly fee covers any premium plugins that had to be paid for, license fees, and all that stuff that are required to keep the website running. I include unlimited emails with the client's domain. So if the client is acme.com, they can have as many whatever at acme.com email addresses as they want. I include an SSL certificate for their site, regardless of the level of the certificate. I perform regular malware scans on the site. I do weekly WordPress core, theme, and plugin updates whenever required. There are daily website backups being done on the site. I also have enhanced website security. And I do uptime monitoring to make sure that I'm notified anytime that a website goes down so that I can get right on it. Now, in return for that, that's my package. That's everything I offer for $69 per month. In return for that, my client gets a stress-free website. They don't have to worry about their site getting hacked, because if it does, I'll take care of it. They don't have to worry about keeping everything on their site updated. That's my job. They don't have to worry about security measures. I'm on top of it. They don't have to know how to manage their own site. Again, I'm doing it, which means they can spend their time concentrating on growing their business, knowing that their website's already taken care of by me. And let me tell you, when I present my maintenance package in this way, I'd say over 95% of my clients see the value in what I'm telling them and sign up without hesitation. Now, I do know some designers who include work time in their maintenance plans, meaning that a client pays X amount per month and includes all that stuff, plus maybe 1 or 2 hours of free work every month, quote unquote free, because of course they're paying the plan. But it's a certain amount of time every month that they can ask for minor changes or updates or anything to the website, and that's included. Now, I don't do that. I don't include any time other than fixing stuff that's required as part of maintenance. But if the client wants any sort of work done to the site, a new page added or some stuff changed on the site, all of that, I will bill it extra. Now, I know other designers who offer website maintenance plans for their client sites, regardless of where the site's hosted. They offer hosting, but if the client wants to host it somewhere else, they'll still maintain it wherever it is. I don't do that either. If a client wants me to maintain their website, they must host it through my plan. And that's just because I know, like I mentioned earlier, I use SiteGround. I know what SiteGround has to offer. I know how to troubleshoot SiteGround. I know that in a pinch, SiteGround could help me out. I can't say the same of whatever web host somebody's using. So for that reason alone, I insist that if a client wants me to maintain their website, it has to be hosted through me. If they want to do it somewhere else, then I'll gladly build them the website and install it wherever their hosting provider is, but then they are responsible for maintaining their own website. Now, if you're not familiar with WordPress maintenance, you may be wondering, well, what exactly does that entail from your end, Mark? Well, not much, really. Other than keeping the site updated on a regular basis, I rarely have anything to do. And if you've heard me talk on the podcast before, I actually don't do that myself. I have a virtual assistant who on a weekly basis will go in and update all my clients' websites. Now, I use a handy plugin from iThemes called iThemes Sync. And if you're interested more, I have an affiliate with iThemes, resourcefuldesigner.com/iThemes. Well, iThemes Sync allows you to connect all your WordPress sites to one dashboard. And in that one dashboard, you can manage them all. So anytime WordPress needs updating or a plugin or a theme, it displays in there. And what it'll show is the Divi theme is installed on all these sites and they need updated. So I can click one at a time if I want, or I can just check a checkbox and say, update all of these sites, and it'll do it one after the other. Divi will be updated on all of those. The same thing with all the plugins I have installed. Some plugins are installed on every website, but sometimes there'll be a plugin that's installed just on one site, and it'll break them all down. This plugin requires updating here. So it's one dashboard where everything can be done, and that speeds up the process so much. My virtual assistant can go in once per week, probably spend less than 10 minutes, and update every website that I have. So that's one part of it that's really, really simple. And as I said, you can do it yourself. I have a VA doing it, but that's about it. You see, because of the daily backups that I perform on the website, and I do that using Backup Buddy, which is another product of iThemes, resourcefuldesigner.com/Backup Buddy. Because of that, if anything goes wrong with the site, if it crashes during a plugin update, or if by chance it gets hacked, I can easily roll it back to a previous backup and have the site up and running again in less than 30 minutes. I've done it many times. Something happens to a site, it's no longer working, no problem. Just go grab an old backup, install the backup, and there, we're up and running again. And because of that, because of Backup Buddy, because of iThemes Sync, because of iThemes Security, which is the security plugin that I install on the website to keep it secure, because of all of that, most of the work is done upon building and launching of the site. The security plugin, the backup plugin, all of that is installed and configured as I'm building and launching the site. Same thing with the SSL certificate. Once it's installed, there's really not much to do. Malware scanning and uptime monitoring are all done via the web host, in my case, SiteGround, so they take care of that for me. So really, there's not much for me to do as far as maintenance. I just make sure that the site is running, and I collect $69 per month from each client. It's that easy. But maybe you're thinking, Mark, I'm still not that tech savvy and I don't know where to start. Well, fair enough. Let me make it even easier for you. Most of the work, most of the hard work will be done by whatever web host you choose. And that's why I use SiteGround, because I know I can count on them. I've turned to them many times. I like using the chat. Usually somebody answers a chat within 2-3 minutes, and I have submitted support tickets. Funny enough, I've never called them on the phone. It's always been an option, but I'd prefer just do it over chat. But there's many things that I let them do for me. If I'm taking over a website for an existing client, say they want me to design a new website, but in the process, I'm going to move their old website to my plan for whatever reason, I'll just get SiteGround to do that. I'll contact them and say, here, I need this site transferred over. I give them the information and let them do it. They make sure everything is running perfectly and then let me know when the site's ready. I also get them to install the SSL certificate for me. I'm perfectly capable. I've done it before. But why go through all the hassle of doing all the steps to get it installed when I can just tell them, hey, I need a certificate installed on this site. Can you do it? Yep, no problem. We'll let you know when it's done. And usually within 30 minutes, I get an email saying that the site is now secured. Anytime that I have to update any of the name servers, the DNS, the zones and all that. Now, if you're not sure what that is, you don't really have to know. It's just pointing the domains for various reasons, for emails or for web or whatever. When you have to repoint them, I know how to do it, but why bother? Just in case I mess something up, I just let them know what needs to be done and they'll do it for me. As well as any issues with a site. Sometimes there might be a little glitch or something and I'm not sure where to look. I'll just contact SiteGround support and say, hey, can you have a look at this site? There's an issue. And they'll look, and most of the time they can figure out what the problem is and fix it for me. So basically anything that I'm not comfortable doing, I just get SiteGround to do it for me. And you can do the same with whatever web host you have. Now, when it does come to the things that I can do and that I am comfortable with, the back end of SiteGround makes it very, very easy for me. I can set up a new website in a matter of minutes, redirect the domain, set it up, install WordPress with a one-click install. If a client wants me to manage their email addresses, it's very easy to go in through the back end and create the new email addresses for them. Although I have to say that there are less and less clients that are asking for that service these days. It seems more people have turned to Gmail and G Suite and that to use their email. In which case, you have to redirect the DNS, the zones there for email, which again, I know how to do, but I'll just tell SiteGround, oh, this client's using Gmail. Can you configure that? No problem. They do it for me. So all in all, in order to set a client up on a maintenance plan and manage it throughout the year, I probably spend less than 2 hours per year per client's website. And actually, I say I spend, again, part of that is my virtual assistant. So in my case, I probably spend less than 30 minutes a year on a client website, unless something actually goes wrong, which is very, very rare. And yet I'm collecting $69 a month from them. Of course, not all that money goes into my pocket. I have to pay my own hosting fee with SiteGround. I actually have a couple of accounts with them just because of the number of sites I have. So I pay my hosting fee with them. Most of the sites I can get a free SSL certificate, but if by chance there are a few sites that I have to pay for a more advanced certificate, e-commerce sites and that sort of thing, those I don't charge extra. They just come out of their monthly maintenance package because SSL certificate is required. And if they require a more advanced one, so be it. As well as paying for premium plugins. I use Gravity Forms for all the forms on my website, resourcefuldesigner.com/Gravity Forms. If you want to learn more, that's my affiliate code. But that requires a yearly fee. Just like if I install any premium plugins, I pay for those licenses. Well, those fees come out of the money I'm collecting on a monthly basis. So the clients don't have to pay those things. So yes, I'm not collecting the full $69 per month myself. Some of it goes to paying this stuff. It's part of running a business. But still, if you get 5 clients, 10 clients, 20 clients or more paying you a monthly website maintenance fee, it can really add up. Now you may be thinking, Mark, what if something does go wrong? I don't know enough about this to fix it. Well, that's the best part. Should something go very wrong with a client's website, something that's beyond your capability, that you have no idea what to do, and beyond what your web host is offering, whatever services they offer, you can easily hire an expert to help fix the issue with the money that you've been earning every month from all your maintenance clients. Because chances are it's just one site. So Take, for example, in my case, if I have 10 clients paying for hosting at $69 a month, so that's $690 per month, and one site has a major issue that I have no idea how to fix, I can hire an expert to look at it, and chances are that expert will cost me less than $690. So it's worth it in the long run. So when it comes to web maintenance plans, you don't have to know a lot. You just have to make sure that you have a good web host that can really support you. Now, as I mentioned, I do use SiteGround. I have used others in the past, but right now, for the past couple of years, that's who I've been using, and I'm very happy. And once again, resourcefuldesigner.com/SiteGround if you want to learn more. However, if you want to use somebody else, here's what I suggest you look for in your web host. The first thing is you want dedicated WordPress server. There are web hosts that specialize in WordPress. SiteGround is one of them. But there's others that they don't really specify. They're just a host, and if, sure, we'll handle WordPress, but they don't specialize in it. You want somebody that specializes in WordPress. Now, just something to keep in mind here. I'm talking a lot about this stuff based on WordPress. If you design websites for clients using Wix or Squarespace or whatever platforms out there, you might be limited on what you can do. You can still do web maintenance, but there may be some limitations. This does work best whenever you're hosting with WordPress, especially when it comes to some of the plugins, like I mentioned, iTheme Sync or Backup Buddy or iTheme Security or whatever you're using. Some platforms like Wix or Squarespace, you won't be able to install those, so you'll have to find other alternatives, but you can still do website maintenance on any of those platforms. Now, the other thing to look for is reputation. How well liked, how well recognized is the web host? There's new web hosts popping up every single day. And the next thing on my list is cost. Well, that's the big factor, is some of them will come in and say, yeah, you can host a website or you can host unlimited websites with us for $2 a month. But what sort of reputation do they have? You got to trust these people enough because you're putting your client websites on these services. So you have to make sure that they have the reputation. And yes, cost is great. It's a great way to look into it and determine whether it's good for you, but sometimes it's worth paying a little bit extra to get that reputation that you know they're reliable. Now, another factor is performance and scalability. You want to make sure that whatever you have, they can handle. And scalability, meaning that say you start off with just a couple of sites and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, now I've got 20 or 30 websites that I'm managing. Can they grow along with you? Do they have various plans that you can jump to if need be? The next thing is uptime. You want to make sure that whatever website you have is going to be there for visitors to visit whenever they want. So you want a web host that guarantees a minimum of 99% uptime, which means that only 1% of the year is there a possibility that the website is down. Now, some of them go as high as 99.9. I've even seen some that state 100% uptime, and I don't believe anybody can guarantee that. 99.9 I can believe, but not 100%. So be careful. If somebody says 100% uptime, I might be a little bit leery with that because nobody can guarantee that. Now, one of the factors I mentioned with SiteGround was their 24-hour, 7 days a week support via phone, chat, or email. That is a huge must. There are some places, depending on how big or how small they are, if they're a small organization, they might not answer anything overnight. They might only be working maybe 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something like that. So what happens if a client somehow, or you realize that there's something wrong with a site at 2 a.m. and you're burning the midnight oil there trying to get it fixed and you can't contact them? So make sure whoever you use has 24/7 support. Even on Christmas, New Year's Day, it doesn't matter. You need to be able to get a hold of somebody to help you if the need arises. Now, another great thing is if your web host offers any sort of help or knowledge base or training resources, some sort of document library to help you learn. It's one thing to ask people how to do something, but if you can look it up on your own web host using their own platform and say, okay, well, how do you do this? And they can show you, then that's great. And SiteGround has that. Anytime I've had an issue and I didn't want to necessarily contact support, I just look through the SiteGround document library and usually I could find an answer there. Now, another thing you may want to look for is built-in security and backups and that sort of stuff. Those are good. I don't rely on those. I always install my own security and my own backups, but it's nice to know that the web host has them as well, just for the general server. Especially if you're doing shared hosting, you want to make sure that those servers that they're hosting multiple websites besides your own as well, that those websites, or those servers, I should say, are secure. But even if they do offer security options and backups, which I say take advantage of, there's no reason not to, I still always install my own as well. Just for the extra security, I prefer be in control of that stuff and not let my web host take care of it. Now look out for storage. Some websites will say you can have unlimited websites, but there's a certain amount of storage space. So you can have as many websites as you want, as long as you don't use up more than this amount of storage space. Or in some cases, they have these things called enodes, which is basically a file. So it's not necessarily the amount of storage space, but the number of files. For example, you might have a hosting plan that says you can have as many websites as you want. You can use as much disk space as you want, as long as you don't exceed 200,000 files. And believe me, a WordPress website can easily have 20, 30, 40,000 files, depending on the site. And I'm not talking pages, I'm talking individual files built into WordPress. When you install WordPress just without doing anything, when you install it and you haven't even touched it yet, there are several thousand files involved with that WordPress site already. So storage space is important. And just on a side note, SiteGround, if you are already a SiteGround user, note that SiteGround just recently updated their plan, their GoGeek plan, which is their big plan, the one I'm on. They added an extra 10 gigabytes of storage space to all GoGeek users. Now, it's great if your web host can also manage domain names, but not necessary. I know I don't use SiteGround for domains, but that is an added feature. If you do offer email along with hosting, then make sure that you can have access and easy management of email. I mentioned earlier site migration. SiteGround is really good. If I have another client's website, I can just ask them to migrate the site from whatever host it's on now to SiteGround, and they'll do that for me. Choice of server locations or CDN is very useful. I know for SiteGround, depending on the client site, I can say I want this site served. I believe it's in Chicago is where most of my websites are served out of. That's where the server is actually, physical storage space is in Chicago. But if I have a website client that's in Asia or in Europe somewhere, I can switch and say for this website, I'd like these files to be on a server there just to speed up the process for closer to wherever they live. And of course, easy access to file, whether it's through FTP or through a file manager or whatever. Sometimes it's really nice to be able to access the actual files for your website on the actual server. And finally, an exit strategy. Meaning, if by chance you need to leave whatever web host you have, that it should be very easy for you. I know that if at some point I decide I no longer want to be with SiteGround, it will be very easy for me to just pick up my websites and move them somewhere else. There's really nothing to worry about. So that's the last thing to keep in mind. So I know that's a lot to take in, but if you're going to make the decision of hosting your own client websites, you really have to give a lot of decision to what web host you're going to use. And that's why I use SiteGround, because I trust them. I looked into them. I learned a lot about them before I switched over. I used to be on HostGator. Not that there was anything wrong with HostGator, but just I really liked what SiteGround had to offer, so I moved over there. Gee, I know this is really sounding like a big commercial for SiteGround, but trust me, it's not. I just really like them. So all of this to say that website maintenance is the best form of passive income for designers. It's reoccurring monthly income that you can count on. I used to say that print brokering was the biggest, and it used to be. I used to make a lot of money print brokering, but now fewer and fewer clients are asking for printed jobs. And when they do want something printed, they're no longer asking for 50,000, 100,000, or 1 million copies printed. Now it's more like, oh, can I get 1,000 of these or 5,000 of those? So even though I'm making money print brokering these days, it's a lot less than what I used to make 10 years ago. But it's still viable, so look into that as well. But website maintenance, the price just seems to be going up, and people know it, they enjoy it, they trust it, and it gives clients peace of mind. I estimate that probably 30 to 40% of my annual income comes from my website maintenance plans. And what this also means is that whenever I take a holiday, or if I go to a conference, or If times are just slow and no work's coming in, I'm still making money because of this reoccurring monthly payments. And you can do the exact same thing. You're already designing the websites for your clients, so why not go this extra step and offer them the peace of mind of a worry-free website by offering a website maintenance plan? Both you and your clients will benefit from it. You can thank me later. Now, I would love to know what you thought of this topic. Do you currently offer a website maintenance plan? What is yours like? Have I encouraged you to start offering one? Or have I encouraged you to maybe raise your price if you weren't charging high enough? Let me know. Leave a comment for this episode by visiting resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 216. So that's it for this episode. Normally I'd reshare the resource of the week, which was SiteGround, but I mentioned it so many times already that I won't bother. But I will mention again the Resourceful Designer community. We're all over there waiting for you. We're having a great time getting to know each other, having good laughs, growing our business, learning about our business, about ourselves, about design. And we would love for you to be a part of those conversations. Head on over to resourcefuldesigner.com/community and join today. So thank you very much. I always appreciate you tuning in, you listening, and especially if you're still here at the end, thank you so much. It sure means a lot to me. But now it's time to go until the next episode. I am Mark DeCote, wishing you all the best with your design business. And signing off, reminding you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.